Dawn FM.
What's up, guys? We're here. Finally, the Weeknd has delivered. It's the dawn. We've made it to the other side. We went towards the light. Didn't think I'd get here, but I'm glad that I am. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our official review for the new Weeknd album, Dawn FM.
We made it! We made it!
Yes, sir.
We made
Yes,
it through
sir.
2021. This is all our prizes. Congrats, guys. We all made it to the dawn.
Yes.
And my God, did it live up to expectations? Sorry, spoiler alert for the review. We love the album, so if you're here waiting for us to like thrash on this thing.
In case you don't know that already.
Yeah, right. I love the quick turnaround we got. Like we obviously had Take My Breath at the very top, at the top of last year. This whole buildup of like the dawn is coming. A couple interviews here and there that was really fun, and that we'll get into in a bit. And then all of a sudden, New Year's Eve, he drops his text message like, I just want to drop the music. Like, let's let the music heal. A couple days later, we get a teaser announcement, and we're here. End of the week, we dropped the album. The thing is, with this album coming off of the Weeknd's kind of magnum opus, this album that kind of made everything about the Weeknd make sense almost. What were your expectations coming into this next album after, that giant album that it was such a significant moment in, not just his career, but our lives, this channel. Yeah, what were your kind of expectations coming into it, and did he meet those expectations?
The main expectation I had for this was I did want it to be an extension, an evolution of the After Hours sound first and foremost. I feel like he kind of finally broke into this new aesthetic or this new type of production, working with more EDM or just electronic music producers like OPN. With the Dawn, it's Swedish House Mafia, stuff like that. Yeah. But on After Hours, I feel like he finally broke into this new sound in a way that I felt like was different from him breaking into, the Starboy sound. I felt like this is that tenfold. And so I just wanted to see him evolve on that even more. Because I'm like, After Hours, like it's good. It's an incredible album, but like I could just tell like how he was talking about the Dawn. I'm like, I just know he's doing something different. Forgive me, Lord, for I had synth. It's like pretty much how you sum up the Dawn for me. He also mentioned a full body of work as well, because I was really, really surprised when we first started getting the little initial crumbs that the Dawn was happening. I'm like, okay, well, most likely it'll be kind of like an EP. He just got off of a huge run with After Hours. He's been making remixes and doing all these other features. I'm like, this can't be a full body of work, but that's literally what he said. Like, it's a full album, by the way. And I love that he said that. Now I'm like, okay, we're going back in way sooner than I thought. Lastly, I just hope that it was a departure of what he's been doing the last few years in terms of his structure of an album. Pretty much everything I said is like what he did. So he definitely exceeded my expectations in that way. All of those things are what make me love the Dawn more than his past few projects, just because of how different it is.
Yeah, to have that amount of that creative energy to drop After Hours, an album like that's as dense as that, and that required its own 30-minute breakdown, deep dive, and we're still getting new info about it in the comment section on that video, which is so fun to this day. And then to drop an album like this where you have that amount of density, still a different feel. Like it's similar. Obviously there are 80s instrumentation and different callbacks and lyrical references to what happened in After Hours, but it's very much its own world, its own project. That was another expectation I had, was I wanted it to be its own thing, something that stands alone. I wanted it to be a project that was on the same level, if not better than After Hours in terms of just like that production quality.
Right.
Just, taking what he's learned from After Hours. I feel like After Hours was a kind of him blending his the Weeknd sound with this new 80s synth pop wave. Meanwhile, this Dawn is like, let's take that synth wave and put it on steroids, turn it up to 11, do it to like the fullest degree of it. In that way, I was expecting like mainly a dance album. You know, he said that After Hours was kind of the album that he's been wanting to make and that the fans have been wanting him to make. So it's something that's kind of like no notes kind of thing. Meanwhile, the Dawn was more of what he wanted to make, which makes sense when you look at videos from the past, like before House of Balloons, before Trilogy, of him in the studio, and it's upbeat music, like it's like poppy, not bubblegum pop, but like that kind of dancey pop thing, and it kind of makes sense. So in that way, yeah, it exceeded every single one of my expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be as conceptual and cohesive,
right,
while still maintaining that fun poppy, like you could play this song at a barbecue, or the album at a barbecue and at a family gathering and all that, and it'd be super fun. It just shows that you can make a good concept album full of upbeat songs. Chance with the big day. sorry, I'm sorry.
We had to bring it up.
Sorry, y'all. This is Rona, man.
Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife.
What exactly did you think of the sound? How would you describe it, and like just some of the elements of it to someone who it doesn't really know exactly what they're listening to?
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that The Weeknd has created a sound that that has so much history behind it, that is so like unique, in that it calls back to 1980s original house techno music back in that when it was kind of an underground genre.
Yeah, how I describe this album, it's like Human League, if you like Don't You Want Me mixed with like Michael Jackson, but like nth degree. Like if Michael Jackson knew everything that people loved about his music and was able to just keep making that kind of music,
Yeah, no, exactly that. I think a lot of that comes from the producers that he worked with, OPN, Swedish House Mafia. I felt like they were kind of a match made in heaven, in that Swedish House Mafia knows how to make those big soundscapes, how to make like a really big song. Just listen to their discography. Their partnership, or them collaborating with OPN and his kind of vintage analog, pretty, synthesizers, always using those vintage keys, like putting those two together is what made it go from After Hours sound to the Dawn sound. And I felt like that is definitely a step up from After Hours for sure. So I love this new sound, and he's doing it, like you said, to the degree to where it's gonna trickle down, and the pop is gonna change, and Tory Lanez is gonna make his own Dawn version or whatever.
Yeah, Walmart Dawn.
The weekday.
The brunch album.
Exactly.
One thing, not necessarily about the sound, but just about the album in general. We talked a little bit about this on the stream. Go check us out on there. This album, it's so cohesive, and it has its motifs. The sounds that kind of repeat over and over again. How albums today are, it's kind of mixtapey. The sequencing isn't as big of a point. But he brings that back and really makes an album that is very much its own experience. All the different things he does with his voice, I think, is another standout thing about this sound and what he's able to, like the lanes it's able to give him. People are used to him having that sleepy, haunting sound that he has with his voice and all that. So to see him break out of that and have those, moments on Gasoline, again, a moment that I'm sure confused the hell out of everybody when they first heard it.
Right.
To have him singing in that English accent.
It's 5 a.m. my time again. I've soaken up the moon.
And you have Take My Breath, and that's so fun and iconic. Yeah, obviously the standout in terms of like him playing with his voice to me is Every Angel Is Terrifying. This interlude that's like a commercial break from this very this chaotic album that's happening, and all of a sudden you have a commercial break where the 444, all that fun stuff is so fun. You could tell that he had so much fun in the recording studio. New elements from The Weeknd with in terms of sound that I think really kind of expands and broadens his horizon. Now I can see him collabing with other artists that we wouldn't have been able to see before. Like I could see that Bruno Mars collab, man.
That's what I'm saying.
That the amount of cocaine energy in those songs, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's interesting you bring up the Bruno thing, though, because I feel like both of them are on a very similar wavelength in that I feel like Weeknd has definitely reached Bruno level in terms of finding an aesthetic or paying homage to a trend or a sound from the past, and then completely revamping it and making it super slick and modern and Your Own, which is like Bruno like killed. So I feel like both of these albums, they like, it's like, which era do you want to visit? You know, I can go 70s, 80s, you know, like now I just feel like I'm time traveling. So it's super fun to listen to.
Yeah, back-to-back months is insane. Like both of our goats, man. Like Michael Jackson, the presence of Michael Jackson is very strong within the last 2 years, man, or 2 months. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into some of our favorite moments, some things we liked from the album.
Definitely some of my favorite moments. I mean, I think this is the part where we got to take some time to appreciate the transitions on this thing, because that was something I did not expect.
Yes.
You know, as much as we tried to predict what would be on this album, the smooth and crazy seamless transitions from each track is something I didn't expect, but now that they're there, make a lot of sense, since this is kind of just one long, you know, radio broadcast. And I felt like the addition of those crazy, you know, lead-ins and stuff like that was definitely my favorite part, and just like made the whole experience like an experience pretty much, not just an album. I love the transition from How Do I Make You Love Me to Take My Breath. You know, the song Take My Breath starts at the end of that song. I'm like, how when the breath comes in, I was like, hold on.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
that is a moment I do want to talk about on our deep dive coming soon. I mean, it might be already on our channel by the time you're watching this, but if not, stay tuned. That's coming soon. It's gonna be lit.
Also, transition from Every Angel Is Terrifying to Don't Break My Heart is another one I really love. I felt like that whole moment kind of transitioned us into a different part of the album. Lastly, Less Than Zero, I feel like is one of my favorite Weeknd songs. Like seriously, one of my favorite Weeknd songs he's made. I just feel like it's just like such a triumphant and sad and like really like heart-wrenching song. It feels like it's at the end of like a movie or something. And I think this is the best closing track he's ever done to an album, in my opinion.
Yeah, that song makes you like just like clench your fist and like want to like go on top of a cliff and just like scream at the top of your lungs, you know? Like it's just so, yeah, like you said, triumphant and sad and therapeutic, cathartic, and it just feels like you want to, like he's expressing, like really like expressing these feelings. It's so potent and I love it.
I feel it, yeah. If you just listen, you can really feel his heart in that song.
That's the music we love, is the music that really just like moves us to the point of tears, you know? Like even him, if you go check out like the Less Than Zero lyrics video, like he is crying by the end of that song just because of maybe how much was put into it and the emotions that were put into it. And you could tell, and it comes out through your streaming platforms. Like it's insane. But
crazy. This that real music.
It's that real shit, man. Oh my God.
You know, it's playing everywhere. It's called great music.
Out of Time is really one of my standouts. It's been stuck in my head all since it's come out. You know, there are moments the Weeknd has had in his career where it feels like the spirit of Michael Jackson, which I was talking about earlier, it feels like it literally like jumped into his body and just like comes out, you know, and some other moments that I think of, you know, obviously Dirty Diana was kind of the first moment. In the Night is another one. Beauty Behind the Madness. Love that song. And this song, man, it feels so timeless to have it come right after Tale by Quincy, you know, Michael Jackson's producer. So like planned and so meticulous and so perfect. Yeah, another standout, Is There Someone Else? It was like that mix of what we've seen the Weeknd do, you know, that dark, vibey music, kind of like Starboy. It has that trilogy, you know, type of vibe as well. Like I really love the way that he rides that beat. And then the last song I want to mention that was a standout moment that has become one of my favorite songs. It was a standout moment on my first listen, just because of how confused I was. It was Gasoline. I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
But to hear the Weeknd like that early in the record, in the track list, like, you know, to have that be your first like kind of dip into that pool. At that point, it's not a dip. You're just straight up like someone pushed you into a pool of, you know, 80s synth wave. Cocaine is like jarring. But with every listen, it just gets so much better and better and better. And yeah, honestly, every song has its own purpose and has different things you can like about it. So let us know in the comments, what was your favorite moments? Why, you know, what moved you? Why did it move you? Let's know all that fun stuff. This is gonna be the least fun part for us. Are the critiques you have with this album?
There are a few. This, like you said, with After Hours, that was the album we wanted him to make. So of course, in my mind, that it's flawless. It wasn't, but you know, in that sense, yeah. But you know, this is something completely new that he's introducing us to. And I do think that there are some parts that didn't exactly live up, or the idea wasn't fully fleshed out as I thought it could be. You know, at first I felt like the features really worked. And what I mean work was just didn't sound awful, you know, or it just didn't sound out of place or something. But I've given it a little bit more time, and I do feel like both of the features could have used a little bit more, I don't know, TLC, I guess. The Tyler feature was good. I liked the approach he went with his flow. I think he really, like, keying into his kind of Kanye inspiration and doing a Kanye flow like that, I felt like really
You're gonna sign this prenup. Yeah,
exactly. like calling back to that was perfect. I felt like really fit, but I just think it's just his voice, you know, it's just his voice is so like distinct, and we've been hearing it this whole year, or majority of last year into this year, on Call Me If You Get Lost, which is a completely different universe, you know, his whatever Wes Anderson flow or whatever you want to call it. And so I felt like he needed some sort of modulation, some sort of maybe pitch, or some, like if he did his high-pitched voice that he does, or like some sort of something.
Igor voice.
Yeah, something like that, to kind of give it a little bit of an edge that I felt like was necessary to fit within the overall sonic landscape of the Dawn. The other, obviously, with Lil Wayne, a lot of people have been talking about the Lil Wayne verse, saying how it kind of fell off or his bars were kind of weak. I have to agree. I felt like it just didn't fit the vibe in general. He sounded like he was trying to be upbeat and for the track, or rather than, you know, just naturally finding the, you know, the pocket he needs to be in. Because when he does, like, he definitely cuts through the track, and it sounded like that. But, you know, comparing it to other Wayne features that we've been hearing the past year or so, not my favorite of all of them. But the last thing though, I think we can agree on this. I felt like the second half of the album needed like one more track, something to throw in there just to like be another complete track, because it's a lot of transitional moments. The Every Angel is Terrifying is more of like a half-baked track that kind of transitions us into a different part of the album, and then we end on, you know, Jim Carrey's monologue, which is just his poem, which is really cool, and like it's great for the listening experience. But I just felt we needed, like, whether it was another banger or another send-off, like right before,
like Less Than Zero.
Yeah, right before Less Than Zero, something to be the last nail in the coffin. Whereas Less Than Zero is that release. I felt like we needed something like that. Other than that, I don't have that many complaints for this album. I can't stop listening to it, so.
Yeah, Less Than Zero, it's interesting, because like whenever I listen to the album, whenever I get a full listen, I'm always like, oh shoot, I'm already at Less Than Zero. Like, right. You know, it kind of just like creeps up on you. And I think you know, the way like After Hours is laid out, you know, it really works up to the titular song, which is that big crescendo. And I think that would have been fun, you know. So yeah, it's that Lil Wayne feature is the last thing we hear before we get into Less Than Zero. So I think having a moment where The Weeknd kind of sulks a little bit before we get into that big moment would have been really great. This is tough for me to say because it could cross a line, and I think that people like it as it is right now. So I want to say this lightly. I would have liked one more moment with Jim Carrey, maybe one small little moment where he gives us some kind of wisdom, but that Phantom Regret is such a amazing euphoric moment. I don't know. I don't know if I would make that change just because it works so perfectly. I just like Jim Carrey's presence on the album. Which, so yeah, those are a couple of our critiques. Again, not too much. You can uncover your ears now. If you've been watching this video with your ears covered, I don't know what to say to you. Thank you for looking at our dumb old faces for a couple minutes. But yeah, let's get into our final rating, and then we'll answer the question of the year. But yes, Matt, what are you feeling like giving Dawn FM?
This is a hard one, honestly. I feel like not because it's like a controversial album, but it's just it's definitely being weighed down by comparisons. You know, weighed down by its album that preceded it. I'm pretty sure I gave After Hours a 10.
The easiest 10, we said.
Yeah, the easiest 10, along with Silk Sonic.
Again, along with Silk Sonic, yes.
Yeah, I will say to weigh in, you kind of have to answer this question in two ways. We already know this album is amazing, and compared to anything else, if After Hours didn't exist, this is a 10 album. You know, so you know that. So in that sense, yeah, I give it a 10. But I think we kind of have to weigh it against the After Hours. The first question of this twofold answer. I'm making it very complicated, but it's like this is how I have to conceptualize it. The sound he's achieved, like the songs themselves, are absolutely better than After Hours. They have much stronger concepts behind them, and the listening experience is far better than After Hours, in my opinion. If you listen to the production, these are the best produced songs he's ever made by far. And so yes, it's definitely better than After Hours in that sense. But in terms of the world, that's the other half. Is he creating a world as big as After Hours? So far, it doesn't seem like that, but we are very, very early on in whatever rollout, he's got planned for the other music videos or live performances or whatever it is, the story. That is the other half that will bring my real rating to a 10. Right now, I will say it feels like a 9.5 because I haven't seen the rest. I want to wait and see, because it's not fair if I do that. After Hours had a full 2 years to live its full life and cycle. I'm gonna give Dawn the time it needs, and if he is able to bring us to something even bigger than After Hours, that character, then it's getting a perfect 10. But we might have to do a video down the road, comparing After Hours into Dawn or something like that.
Oh, for sure. Come on now. You already know we're gonna, maybe we'll have a little Redux review, in retrospect kind of thing. I like it. Maybe on
Revisit.
on the 2-year anniversary, maybe something like that. Yeah, I really like the way you brought that up, because this is a very, because with The Weeknd, the way he conceptualizes this album, you're almost grading the music and then also the concepts separately, and I do think that After Hours, the songs, individual records are, I say this lightly, I know I love After Hours, guys, don't get it twisted, but I think it's kind of tied down by that concept of, this is dissecting The Weeknd kind of thing, whereas the Dawn, they're able to kind of go wherever they want, and then the songs kind of just naturally tie into the concept of this is an FM radio station.
Yes.
So he's able to kind of just go wherever he wants with them. So in that way, I'm going to give one rating, guys. Don't worry. I'm just going to give one rating. I'm going to give it the perfect middle ground of your rating. I'm going to give it a 9.75 is the rating, man. Because it is a perfect album. It is a very well constructed album, perfectly constructed. But like we said, there are moments that we feel like could have been improved. That Lil Wayne feature does stick out very, very strongly in my mind. The Tyler feature, I'm really good with. I just love that we were able to see them on a record and see them on something that made it like makes sense. It sounds like Flower Boy or Igor. It sounds like that, and it's able to work. But yeah, the Lil Wayne feature kind of takes it down a notch for me. But yeah, really great album. If this album is somehow my album of the year and it dropped in January, then that says a lot about the impact and the quality of this album. Really love this album. 9.75. 9.5 and 10 for Matt.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's going to do it for us here from the Our Thoughts podcast. And you guys have been great listening. Thank you for attending. And we will be right back at it with our Dawn analysis. This is going to be, our video that follows up kind of the same way that this album followed up After Hours. But this is going to be kind of our follow-up to, our analysis video that you guys have loved so much. And we appreciate all the love you've given it. But go ahead and give some love to this video. Give a like, subscribe. If you haven't already, give us a follow at Our Thoughts Podcast on Instagram, at OurThoughts_pod on Twitter, Ches Lito on every social media. You got Matt Mags with 2 Z's on all social medias. And we'll talk to you guys whenever. We'll see you guys in the comments. Oh, the streams, Our Thoughts Live, every Thursday, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. We have a nice community. We have gracefully labeled them our Tater Thoughts, and we have the Exo Thoughts as well, a little subdivision of you guys. So come join us. Y'all are welcome. Y'all are family. And without further ado, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys very soon.
Peace.
Peace out.